made my first mural, so still learning lots, but I've probably painted about like over a dozen projects for kids and stuff since then. So yeah, I thought this was a cool opportunity to work with a master and and kind of have this more interactive piece.
I'm Jeannie Redigal. I'm the coordinator, the project coordinator for the Legacy of Love Mural Art Project. So what we have here are two sections of panels that are complete and ready to be dropped and stored. So right now is a really good opportunity to see the work that's been done, and what I'd like to do is explain and give the story behind some of the design elements and just give insight into the next set of panels that we're going to be doing right after these are taken down. The Indigenous creation story depicts the muskrat. The muskrat was the one animal that went down to the center of the earth because the earth was flooded with water, and there needed to be land in order for the trees, in order for life to sustain itself on the earth. So there were a bunch of animals that stepped forward and said that I'll do it. I'll go down, swim beneath the water, and to grab some dirt so we can have our land, so life can sustain us. So all the animals tried. There were large animals, wise animals, fast animals. They all tried, but none were successful. So then the lonely muskrat, that was the one animal that was left. And they said, well, I'll try. And these other animals, they kind of laughed and they said, that'll never work, you're just a muskrat. But he says, no, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it my best. So the muskrat swam and swam and swam down to where the earth was and just grabbed that one handful and swam all the way back up and nearly didn't make it. But then the one thing that emerged was the hand with dirt. And then that muskrat, what he did, you see, threw it. And when it landed on the turtle shell. And that's where the land started to form. And this is why we call this continent Turtle Island, because the turtle gave of itself also to sustain life for all living creatures, you know.
Excellent.
So in this area we have the water ceremony being depicted. The two indigenous people, the two people are gathered by the water's edge and creating. This is the water ceremony. This is a bowl, a copper bowl with that water. The water is life. The water sustains us, and the water is kind of like, if we think about it as the blood of Mother Earth. You know, we need water in our life. Our water is mixed. You know, the blood runs through us. The water runs through Mother Earth. So we give those blessings. You know, we give thanks every single morning when that sun rises. This is also depicting that first morning sunshine when that sun breaks through. So this is the morning ceremony. I also forgot to mention, we have the morning star right over here.
Oh, right.
So that morning star is that morning star comes up. That's the first star that shines. That's the first star that's visible. So when we see that, that means that Creator's listening. Creator is there and waiting. Our ancestors are there and waiting to hear our prayers, waiting for us to spend time and to give thanks. So throughout here, we also have the different medicines that are growing on the water's edge and where the land meets the water. Right here is where we might pick things like wike. Wike is one of the medicines that we use for breathing, for lungs, for to have that real clean breath passage airway. Okay? So, and of course, when we do these water ceremonies, it also this creation story that's depicted, we also give thanks to our young ones, to our babies that are born. This is part of the circle of life. So we wanted to depict those beautiful babies. And then over here we have the eagle, and the eagle represents love in our Indigenous teachings. What that eagle did is when those animals came and they wanted to help us with our prayers, that eagle came forward and said, I will carry those prayers up to Creator, because that eagle is the one who can fly the longest and the highest. So that's what, these are the different elements in the yellow panels, and the yellow panels will be facing in the eastern direction where that sun rises. So this is where our journey begins, our human existence begins in this timeline that's going to be depicted along the different panels in the different ages, the different parts of living and existence. This is that human element where we are born into this world, and when we enter into when we come into Mother Earth. As you can see, we haven't started the part of the black panel, which is going to be put up in the southern direction on site at the Gaynor Family Regional Library. We haven't began this panel other than the concept design of it. So what I can do is I can say what the concept is that we came up with. So with this in the southern direction, and with the black gradient blended maquette, we are depicting the time in our lives as Indigenous people in our human existence, not specifically just for Indigenous people, but this is where we live, and this is also where the journey, part of our human existence, begins to end. As family members of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, this is where a lot of our trauma starts, because we were born into this world, and along the way, events happen. Events happen that draw an end to the existence, to our life here on earth. Then we have family members who gather, and vigils are started. Vigils to commemorate our life here on earth. With the different wreaths, with the votives, with the singing. Another element that we're going to be putting in here is an elder who's sitting in a wheelchair. Depicted on here is the wolf, the white wolf. That white wolf brings a message of humility, because in this existence, this human existence, to walk with humility is one of our greatest teachings. Sometimes life forces that humility on us because of these tragic events that occur within our families. Another thing we want to put in is the granny moon up here at the one end. So that granny moon is also the one that controls the flow of the waters throughout all human and earth existence. The grandmother moon controls those waters. Beneath the grandmother moon, we're going to have a bridge. And on that bridge is going to be the red ribbons that are going to be flowing. So those red ribbons, the bridge will be moved a little bit higher so you can definitely see it, and then down below will be the water. And of course you will definitely be able to see the red ribbons as they're tied to the rails of the bridge. And those red ribbons are tied to the rails of bridges to commemorate, to give a visual cue to commemorate the lives of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Because it's important that this is never forgotten. It's important to show that our women are loved. They always were loved. They will never be forgotten. So this is the second set of panels that we've completed. We just completed this just a couple days ago. So this is the red panels, obviously, and these will be in the western direction. Now, what our elders have told us is we come into this existence in the eastern direction, where the sun rises. That's where we are born. When we exit this existence, it's in that western doorway. And in that western doorway, the buffalo are there to guide us through into the next journey of our existence. When I say existence, I'm talking about the spiritual existence. We transform from human into spirit. And then it's part of the circle of life, the circle of our spirit, because our spirit always existed. Our spirit exists when we go beyond the human existence, and it exists prior to us coming into the human existence. So one of the things that we wanted to depict in this section was that celebration when our relatives exit. The celebration of life, when we go to the powwows, a lot of times there's honor songs that are sang, that are offered to family members who have traveled on. There are women, jingle dress dancers, who dance a healing dance for the families who are suffering, who are mourning. And so when that jingle dress dancer, when she's dancing and she holds her fan up, because that beat, that heartbeat of Mother Earth is being sang and played by the drummers. So she holds that fan up on those beats, and that's to honor the lives of the missing and murdered, to honor people, to honor feats, to bring healing. Okay. So one of the things that I also wanted to do was to show, these footsteps that dancer steps. Those footsteps are making that connection. And those dances, those jingles that are flowing back and forth, that's creating that music, that peaceful, healing movement. And all this can come out in her feet because it's flowing straight through her body, through the eagle fan, through the songs. So it's going through her like that. And that's energy, that is medicine. And that's what this jingle dress is about. The jingle dress is that healing dance. So what we want to depict here is the father of all the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Each woman that passed in violent acts or has gone missing, each girl had a father. This is the ancient one who holds his pipe up, who's asking for that help from the horses, from the Mishtitim. Mishtitim is the Ojibwe word for horse. So that father is asking that Mishtitim spirit for help, for guidance, for direction, for healing. So then that horse, that tobacco smoke that comes in here, and that tobacco is that first sacred medicine that we were given. So I thought, as we were composing, as we were coming up with this design element, I thought about the fact that, our Indigenous fathers are our fathers, of all the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Each one of these lives were lost. And that was their daughter, and that was their niece, that was their sister, their mother. So in here, this is the ancient one, the ancient man, the elder, and he represents all those men who have been impacted. So this is the ancient one, and depicting the raising of this pipe that I had a dream of, that holds this sacred tobacco here, that goes through and going in from the ancient one into the horse spirit. And that tobacco smoke goes in and comes out as that medicine, as that horse spirit medicine. So what it's doing is that everything is connected. The energy of this horse medicine connected to the elder, connected to the jingle dress dancer, connected to the heartbeat of the drum, and coming back around to this young girl. This young girl represents the first jingle dress dancer. And what had happened is this grandfather had a dream. And he had a dream because he was suffering because his wife, the grandmother, was sick and nothing could help her. So that dream came to him, and in that dream he was instructed how to create a jingle dress for his granddaughter. And they were instructed to take this little girl around the arbor 4 times. An arbor is a sacred space for the dancers, for ceremonies. So, and as that little girl was dancing around, he was instructed to dance around four times. And each time she went around, that grandmother started to heal. And by that 4th round, that grandmother was healed. So that's how the jingle dress dance came into existence. And that is the reason why it is called the healing dance. So back over here to the second horse. The second horse is the one that's real, the one that's here in existence. This one is the spirit horse. This one is the real one. Things that's prevalent in this section is the water and the ellipses. So the ellipses around are regarding the noise, regarding the sound element of the drum, and how that healing reverberates throughout this whole section. Okay, it has everything to do with that first jingle dress. It has everything to do with this contemporary jingle dress dancer, because that healing, it's never stopped. It doesn't have to do with time per se. It has to do with that heartbeat of Mother Earth. Okay. So this last element is these buffalo. The buffalo are the ones, like I said, who stand at the doorway, that western doorway, standing there to guide us through from this existence into the next one, into that next part of our journey, our spiritual journey. So, and the constellation we have depicted here is Pleiades. That's the seven sisters, and that's also a doorway out, a doorway in. It's a place where souls can travel in and out, spirits can travel in and out. Okay? And of course, we have the white buffalo calf, which is also a sacred calf, a sacred buffalo. So we wanted to incorporate that because, you know, here we have this young girl, and she's really depicting the granddaughter of. She's depicting everyone's granddaughter and the excitement that she has to dance. So not only the first jingle dress dancer, but everyone's beautiful, innocent young girl. This part is the outside of the mural. It's a two-sided mural. So the mural on the outside will represent the turtle shell. Okay? So, and in the turtle shell, there's the bottom half, which is the little piece that kind of goes out, upper part of the turtle. So, and we wanted this to look as real as possible. So there is no one specific pattern. There's a whole variety of different elements in it. Okay? And this is also the painted turtle. That's what turtle we are using to represent the shell. Okay?
Okay.
And then of course here, this is the way the whole mural will look afterwards. This was our design concept for the whole project. The last portion that we have, the last section is the white section, and this represents the spiritual existence of our journey as Anishinaabe people. And I speak from in terms of that because I am an Anishinaabe Ikwe. And these are the teachings that I've been given. And because I submitted this on behalf of my First Nation, Rolling River First Nations, that's where I'm coming from. but a lot of the indigenous people, they have similar stories and similar teachings. Okay, but it's also unique. So in what we're depicting here is the thunderbird, because the element that we're bringing in here is kind of like the rain, the mist, the spiritual energy. So the thunderbird comes in, and then coming in through or in front of the birch trees, and then coming overlooking the sweat lodge. And then over to the other side is this white spirit bear. So together with the thunderbird and the spirit bear, they're being conjured by this sacred ceremony within, that's being held within the sweat lodge. And then over here to the side is the sacred fire. So when those drums and when those rattles are sang within the lodge by the people, we're calling on our ancestors. We're calling on the help from the thunderbird. We're calling on the healing component of the spirit bear. And that's all coming together and converging. And then our ancestors are present because they're always around us, but specifically when we do these sacred ceremonies. So, and then what happens? We're gonna bring in the element of the mountains, and then through the mountains will be the water. The spirit bear is going to be in the water. And so what happens at this point is we have that full circle of life, of existence that our spirit is on. And it just happens to be that what we're living right now is only a part of it. You know, when we think about our missing and murdered, there's these tragic events, but we also have those teachings that allow us that healing component to know that they are going on and that we will meet them at another time, that they are right here when we want to call on them, and to know that there's healing, that there are healing components even within these tragic events. As hard and difficult as it is to understand, when we're experiencing that pain, there is healing along the way.
So when you were so the papoose that you created, what was your design process that you?
Well, I just researched traditional Anishinaabe and Ojibwe papooses, and I kind of melded them together so it wasn't too specific, so that both could look and say, oh, that's a papoose, and oh, this is only this, and that's only that. And then I tried to keep the faces and the figures kind of like ghost-like and vague, so that it could be anybody that you're thinking of, not a specific portrait of anybody. Because it's a creation story, right? They're just like memories of people.
And your eagle is just touching the surface of the water?
The life cycle, like maybe he's gonna hunt, or maybe he's just showing off to attract a mate. It's all up to interpretation for the time.
And I did the horses. Airbrush right on that. I had the airbrush touches that are needed here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Whole project kind of thing. So far that's about it. And I helped with some of the base coat that was put on there. And they were laying on the floor, all the panels.
Yeah. Now, have any of you ever done like the end result of it all is just something so very unique? Have you ever done anything like that at all before? Or?
Well, I did. I helped with the one in Manitoba.
Mm-hmm.
The Métis Federation building there.
Right.
But yeah, previous to this, no, I never did such a large scale art before. I've mostly airbrushed like cars, bikes, motorcycles, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a new adventure for me. It's
I bet, yeah.
quite a bit larger scale. It's hard to get used to painting on something bigger. It just it's such a difference between like usually I'm working on little tiny airbrush motorcycle tanks and stuff. So yeah,
Been told by our elders, our spirits have always existed and always will. I've been told by one of my elders, Tibiki Gises, Grandmother of the Moon, gifted my spirit its name, South Eagle Woman. Joanang Beneseikwe. When I was born, my parents named me Jeannie Whitebird. My home community is Rolling River First Nation. Today I go by Jeannie Red Eagle, and I'm blessed to have a second community here in Selkirk, Manitoba, where I live with my 2 young adult children, Asa and Alvina Red Eagle. I'd like to acknowledge we are located on Treaty 1 land, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Dene, Dakota, and Oji Cree, and the home of the Métis people. Melody Owen, her spirit name is Swift Running Deer, and she's from Bangasi First Nation, and she's going to be singing the water song for us. Thank you, Mel. Aspects in these two sections of murals of the Legacy of Love mural art project, which we have now, we have a traditional name, because when we gathered with families at the wiping away the tears ceremony earlier in the year, that was in February, we consulted with them, and because we wanted a traditional name rather than just it being the Legacy of Love Mural Art Project, which was the title of the working proposal that we submitted to the Government of Canada. We wanted a traditional name, so that name is Sacred Spirits of Turtle Island. So we're also going to be having that translated into the Anishinaabe-Moan language. And Anishinaabe-Moan is the language of the people. That's how we say our language, and as Anishinaabe people. So this is the last part of Sacred Spirits of Turtle Island. Okay, so if we go over here to this area first, this is the vigil scene. So, and if you notice, this is Selkirk. This is the Selkirk Blue Bridge at nighttime. So this perspective is coming from the side from East Selkirk side. Okay, so, and you can see the red ribbons, and you can see the groups of people coming to join the vigil over here. So we have a couple really incredible elements in this. We have the husband and wife, the mushum and the nukumas, the grandfather and the grandmother. So singing their song, and then we have the daughter, the sister, the auntie, and she is holding the shoulder of a young girl who, and so a lot of these faces are faces of every MMIWG family member, and community member who has lost, who is grieving, who wants to memorialize their lost loved one, who wants to gather at vigils. So this is one of the elements that family members said was important for them to have for their healing journey. Okay, so and then of course we have the old moshum, and with the star blanket on him, and so and then above, of course, is the Northern Lights. Northern Lights in our traditional language is Wawate. So when those Northern Lights come out, it's those, some of our elders say, or the stories is that those are calling those spirits home who are just transitioning, who are leaving. So when those Northern Lights are dancing, it's their joy. It's a dance of joy, a spiritual dance of joy. So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's because those spirits are going to be joining others who have gone on before us. And of course, the spirit animal here is the wolf. It's the white wolf, and that came to me. That was important for me because this wolf pelt was given to me by a very special friend, and I didn't know the significance, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing with this, because this was gifted to me a couple years ago. And when one night I went to sleep and I had that, when I woke, I had that message: this is where the white wolf is going to be, and this is where it's supposed to be. So over here, this portion, this section of the mural, this is the spiritual. This is that place where the spirits are. So when we go to connect with the spiritual energy, when we go to connect with our spirit helpers, one of the places many of us gather is here in the sweat lodge. That's what this is. This is a sweat lodge. This is depicting a sweat lodge ceremony. And specifically, this is a local sweat lodge. And it's conducted by Elder Wilford Buck. This is located on Highway 59, just just beyond the bridge to nowhere. So it's a local lodge, and this is where a lot of our families go for healing, and this is where we go when we need to connect with our spirit helpers. Our spirit helpers is the Thunderbird woman. And one of the things that was important to us, what I thought was important is to kind of visualize Thunderbird woman, because I haven't seen that before myself, and we thought it would be wonderful to put in that female energy, that female spirit energy. So, and then of course on the other side is the white spirit bear. And what's happening here is that spirit bear is being called on by people in the lodge, and he's breathing, like what's coming out of him is that healing breath of life for people who are going to the lodges for help. So, you know, that you can see with this scene, it looks like a winter scene, you know, and there was a winter day when I actually took this picture, but we actually, myself and Brad went to the lodge in the summertime, and we went into the lodge. So I want Brad to share some of what we experienced in there.
It was quite an experience. I've never been to one before, and learned a lot about Native culture and everything. And it was a warm one. It was an experience I've never even had before.
What were?
Yeah, Shumas. The grandfather rocks that they brought in. That was amazing. They heat them up in a fire and bring them into the sweat lodge, and it's offerings being made and everything inside.
And then the water gets poured on onto the rocks, and that water creates a vapor. It creates a steam. So if you think about that, like what that does to the body. Okay, so now if we call on our spirit helpers, the spirit bear, we call on his breath of life, on that and so you call on that spiritual breath, and you experience the vapor, the healing vapor, and what that does to our soul, to our spirit, to our body. You know, it breaks down those barriers that we have to protect ourselves. So when you walk out of there, when you have to crawl out of there.
Yeah.
You are renewed. You know, and what you went in with, that hurt and that pain, you leave there, and you walk out. You walk out of this. This represents the womb of Mother Earth, and that's what this looks like. And so when we go in, we're one way, but when we crawl out, it's like a new life, a new day, a new way. So it's beautiful. So we went in there with Wilfred, you know, and with our tobacco, with that, and we asked, can we do this? Can we do this in a good way? And the answer, you know, the answer is yes, yes. And so this is part of that tribute to what our lodges do for families of the missing and murdered, to heal. This helps heal us.